Welcome to Hardwood Handicappers with Zach Cohen, right here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Happy Friday. This is Zachary Cohen, VSiN.com senior editor, with another episode of Hardwood Handicappers. Hardwood Handicappers is sponsored by Better Picks, the fantasy app that turns your basketball takes into cash. Download the Better app and use code VSiNPOD to get $10 free. No deposit needed. That's VSINPOD. And we have a link for that in the description if you are watching on YouTube. I want to start today, like I usually do, talking a little bit about what we saw last night. Not crazy takeaways, I don't think, given, that we didn't have a lot of good games. But the one big one to me was that, I don't know, the Clippers are just looking done to me. Like, they just got blown out again by Orlando last night, losing by 28 points. Ty Lue makes some major changes to the rotation in the second half. One of them, cost me my big Nicholas Batum over on 4.5 points, took the veteran out of the second half rotation. Not really sure why. I don't think he played that poorly in the first half, but man, that is a team that is really in a bad way right now. You're talking about a team that's now 4-11. And I do think that if they are not, getting good information on Kawhi Leonard's return, if they don't know that he is coming back soon, they're going to have to quickly look to pivot and start selling off parts, because they are not even close to looking like a playoff team at the moment, and injuries are only piling up a little bit more. So I think that the Clippers are in very, very bad shape. And then I do want to talk a little bit about what we saw in that Sixers-Bucks game, because there were two stellar individual performances. One of them from Tyrese Maxey, who goes for 54 points in the overtime win, now looking like one of the best players in the entire NBA, to the point that Jonathan Von Tobel, who was on with me yesterday, texted me and said, are we sure Maxey can't win MVP? And my only answer for him was that the answer is no. And it's because we kind of decide before the season who could win this award and who can't. And it's very unfair, but I just don't see Maxey nudging his way into the conversation with some of kind of the pillars of the NBA, like Giannis Antetokounmpo, like Luka Doncic, who are not even really in the conversation with the guys like, Nikola Jokic and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. It's just a conversation that it surrounds the same players every year, and it's very frustrating. And I just don't think that Maxey's going to kind of change the opinion of him enough to actually be in the mix for MVP. But that's not to say that he's not having like an MVP caliber season. Like, he has been absolutely sensational for Philadelphia, and he is the reason that there is now just major hope for the Sixers moving forward. And I do just think that he deserves to be rewarded for that. I just don't think it's going to be in the MVP market, even if he is, like fifth in the odds race right now, if you look at some of the major sports books. Any other big performance, one that I almost think is the bigger takeaway of that game somehow, even though Maxey had 54, Ryan Rollins goes for, 32 points and 14 assists in the overtime loss. I think that Ryan Rollins might be directly responsible for keeping Giannis Antetokounmpo in Milwaukee. I just think they have him on a very team-friendly deal, $4 million per year over the next 2 seasons. Milwaukee is going to be able to make some big trades in the offseason. They're going to have some more, tradable draft capital, first-round draft picks that they can move. And they have a lot of contracts that they can kind of attach those picks to in order to kind of go shopping and find, another running mate for Giannis as they look to kind of retool into an Eastern Conference contender post Damian Lillard. But the crazy thing about Rollins is he's now averaging 17.4 points per game, 5.3 assists per game. He's, I don't know, like Dyson Daniels, like in the way that he's making, deflecting passes and getting his hands on the basketball defensively, like very, very active at the point of attack, helping, Doc Rivers, stay aggressive on the defensive end in front of Giannis Antetokounmpo and Miles Turner. I think that there were a lot of question marks heading into this season about what the perimeter defense would look like for the Bucks. Rollins is really stepping up there while also giving them kind of the offensive punch that we expected Damian Lillard to give them when, the Bucks acquired him. So I think that Rollins has been an upgrade over, honestly, Drew Holiday towards the end of his Milwaukee run, and over what we saw of Damian Lillard towards the end of that run, and definitely what we would see of Lillard when he comes back from that torn Achilles. I think, Ryan freaking Rollins is playing like a top 12 point guard in the NBA on a cheap deal. And I just think that that's going to make a huge difference in trying to, convince Giannis that he should end his career here. So I think that the Bucks are a story to watch the rest of the season. I think that Rollins is a player that deserves a lot of flowers. Let's move into the Friday night games. It is another NBA Cup night. Lots of big games on the schedule. I do skip some games every night. I can't get to all of them as much as I want to. Tonight, I'm going to be skipping Wizards, Raptors, and Thunder, Jazz. Two games with very lopsided point spreads. Games that I don't really have a feel for in terms of sides and totals. But I will say, you head over to VSiN.com. I can never rule out the possibility of adding some player props in those games. Like I said a few days ago, like I do check back at around 2 or 3 o'clock, my time, Pacific time, when I am looking, at player props again after I'm done with some of my other work for VSiN.com, and might add some player props to either the Pro Picks page or the story that I do on player props every day. So if you are looking for stuff on those games, I will not say definitively that I won't have anything. But let's start with Pacers Cavaliers. This is the first game that I would like to talk about. This is the prime video game for tonight. Cavaliers laying 13.5, totals 239.5. Game tips at 7 p.m. Eastern. Injury report, it's more of the same from the Pacers. No Aaron Nesmith, no Obi Toppin, joining obviously Tyrese Halliburton, who's out for the season for Indiana. For the Cavaliers, Sam Merrill is out, joining Max Strus, and they do have Darius Garland, Jared Allen, and Jalen Tyson all questionable. This is a game that I actually think is very interesting. I don't think Indiana should be getting as many as 14.5 points at some shops. I think that the Pacers, now that they have Benedict Mathurin back, they're going to look a lot better offensively. Mathurin had 24 points in 34 minutes last game, a really good 9-point win over the Hornets, where the Pacers at one point, went up by as many as 20. Like, this is a very good kind of bounce back performance from Rick Carlisle's team, where I thought there were big stretches of the game where they looked really good on both ends of the floor. I'm starting to think now that we might see the Pacers undervalued a little bit over the course of the regular season, at least in terms of against the spread. Like, this is a team that is 2-13 on the season. Everybody sees that record and kind of jumps to the conclusion that they're awful. They do have a pretty good rotation. I think that it's a lot better than people think. I think that, heading into the year, I was a little bit higher on the over on their win total than I probably should have been. I didn't really think about how they would manage injuries with Halliburton out. Like, everybody that gets injured and even nicked up a little bit, they're going to take their sweet time getting them back, because there is a chance that, the Pacers pick in the top 7 to top 10 of this draft, maybe even better, and they can add a very good player in a loaded draft class to kind of bring this team back to contention when Halliburton's back next year. But I still think that on a night-by-night basis, when they are somewhat healthy, which they are tonight, they are going to be able to keep games close. And Cleveland this season has not been as good offensively, has not been as crisp as we saw them last year in Kenny Atkinson's first season on the sidelines. And defensively, this is a solid team, top 10 in the league. But I think that Evan Mobley has slipped a little bit as their rim protector. I think you'll see even Cavaliers fans on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, they are a little bit unhappy with the play that he's been giving them on that end of the floor. And I think that we've seen the Pacers trouble this Cavaliers team in the past. I mean, look back to last season when they knocked him out of the playoffs. I think that 14.5 is a really good number to be taking with Indiana, even in the cup where, there's more incentive for the team that is winning the game to run up the score. I think that, 14.5 is a worthy play, and that is going to be a best bet for me this evening. Next game I want to talk about, Nets Celtics, 7:30 p.m. Eastern tip. Celtics laying 15.5, total 222.5. It's funny. These are the types of games that, I just said before, I'm skipping 2 of them. Spreads 15 to 20. Normally just a no-go for me. I don't even look at them. But this is one that I actually locked in last night with Boston. I took minus 14.5 with the Celtics. I just think that this is the type of game where the NBA Cup format is really, really going to come into play. The Celtics are 1-1 in East Group B. Point differential is minus 12. They are not out of this, but they are going to need a convincing win somewhere. They might even need 2 convincing wins. Well, a home game against this Nets team that is absolutely awful presents them as good of an opportunity to get back into the mix of getting into the knockout stages as you could possibly ask for. This Celtics team is 6th in the NBA in 3-point makes per game, 15.3 makes per game to be exact. And they are facing a Nets team that is absolutely terrible when talking about defending the perimeter. This season, they are allowing opponents to shoot 39.7% from three. That's the second worst mark in the NBA. I just think that Boston's going to come out firing on their home floor where they always seem to play well. And I think that they are going to really run this up to the point that I'm not even stopping at laying the 14.5 with the Celtics. And I would be willing to take the 15.5 if I had to. I was just able to get a good price last night and jumped on it. But I would be looking to alternate spreads in this game as well. Like, I don't think it's crazy to think that, Boston wins this game by 20 plus or even 25 plus. So if you can get some, crazy plus money numbers there, the NBA Cup offers a lot of opportunities to take alternate spreads. And this is one where I really think the Celtics are just going to kind of beat up on the opposition. Let's move to Heat Bulls. Bulls laying 2.5. Total is an absolutely insane 250.5, but justified with these Bulls games and these Heat games now. I mean, Miami is number one in the league in pace of play. Chicago is right there at the top of the league with them. These are two teams that really want to get out in space. They really want to push the tempo, and both teams have shot makers. But my play in this game, which is one that I really, really like, is Chicago -2 at -110. This is a game that I'm definitely going to be playing a little bigger than just one unit. Both of these teams are 1-1 in East Group C. Both of these teams can use a win, but it is the Bulls that are in a little bit better condition when looking at the injury report. There's going to be no Nikola Jovic, no Andrew Wiggins for the Heat, in addition to obviously Tyler Hero, who actually is on the mend, and it looks like he's going to be back early next week. I'm very excited to see that because Miami's been great without him, but it's a Heat team that's a little bit banged up right now. Heat also only minus 0.4 net rating on the road for as good as they have been this season. Not great on the road. Bulls plus 4.5 net rating at home. So a pretty healthy difference between the two teams when looking at splits. And I do think that the home crowd is going to be pretty loud tonight. I think that this Chicago team is very lovable with the way that they play and some of the young players they have on it. And the pace of play is always good for, bringing fans in and, getting, tushes in the seats. And I do think that this Bulls team is going to be able to kind of handle business tonight. This Heat team, it's been kind of sensational to watch, the way that Eric Spoelstra has evolved as an offensive coach and the way that he's just embraced a completely different style of basketball. But that style of basketball is one that I think plays into the hands of the Bulls. I mean, this new Heat offense generates looks from the corners and the short mid-range area at a very high percentage. The Bulls are actually very good at preventing shots from both of those spots on the floor. So I think that Chicago has some issues defensively, but Billy Donovan is very good at masking them. And the Bulls are just one of the best teams in the league when talking about his opponent shooting percentage at the rim, in the short mid-range area, on corner threes, and all mid-range shots. That is going to be tough for the Heat to kind of get exactly what they want in this game. So I really like Chicago on the spread. If you're looking to sharpen your edge this NBA season, VSiN Pro is where to start. Get advanced analytics, player prop projections, and expert insights used by serious bettors every single day. Try it out for only $9.99 for your first month and see what smart bettors are using to beat the books. Head to vsin.com/subscribe and check out all the subscription options. Next game I want to move to is Pelicans at Mavericks, 8:30 p.m. Eastern tip. This is a game where the Mavericks are laying 3.5. The total is 233.5. I don't have anything official on this game yet, but I am looking to the Pelicans side, probably in an alternate way. Like, I think that there's a really good chance that I look at some things in a couple of hours and I add New Orleans on an alternate spread of plus 10.5 with the Golden State Warriors money line against the Blazers. I really like these alternate spreads. I've been trying to gatekeep this a little bit, but a lot of people have complained about teasers going away in pretty much every sport, whether that's, football or basketball. And you do have to pay some juiced prices to take teasers in football now, especially. But if you look around and you look at every single book that you have available wherever you are, if you take alternate spread parlays, you can generally find very similar prices to what you used to get on teasers. So it's a unique way to play things. You definitely have to do your homework, but yeah, I think you're going to get a really good price on Pelicans plus 10.5, which gets you an extra 7 points tonight, and Warriors money line against the Blazers, a game that I like, but not a game that I want to lay with the spread. So that's the way I'm going to be looking there. Having said that, I'm also looking at Derek Queen's player props again. been doing this all season long. I would like to see if his 3.5 total on assists moves down to plus money at all. I mean, it is available right now. I like minus 103, minus 104, but I think there's a chance that we get it at plus money odds. So going to wait on it a little, but Queen has had 4+ assists in 4 of the last 5 games. Had 11 potential assists last game. Has just been really doing an awesome job as a playmaker. And last game we saw him explode for 30 points. Like I thought that, New Orleans looked really feisty with both Zion Williamson and Derek Queen out there. And that's another thing to add if you're looking at the Pelicans side like I am. Zion Williamson, not even on the injury report for the Pelicans tonight. He will be a go. And this team is now getting healthier as well. Point guard positions still definitely a little banged up right now for New Orleans, but man, it's interesting to see them getting 3.5 against a Mavericks team that has been just miserable offensively this season. They are getting Cooper Flag back tonight. Didn't have him last game, so that means they'll be a little bit better offensively in addition to, their borderline league best defense. But I do think the Pelicans are the right side here. I'm just not going to take 3.5. I want some more points than that. Next game, one that I'm really excited about as a Suns fan. Timberwolves at Suns, 9 p.m. Eastern tip. Timberwolves laying 3.5, total 233.5. This is a game that I think that the betting splits are very interesting. We have betting splits up at VSiN.com for VSiN Pro subscribers. So you heard me mention the $9.99 intro offer. If you are interested in seeing where the public and where the sharp bettors are going, head over to VSiN.com. We have those betting splits for you. But I will give you a peek behind the curtain here. DraftKings opened this game with Minnesota minus 4.5. And despite 60% of bettors at our VSiN betting splits showing as, betting on Minnesota, that spread has dropped from 4.5 to 3.5. That is some, pretty significant reverse line movement that suggests that the Suns are the sharper side in this game. And I do think that the Suns are the right side in this game. I mean, the Suns are 6-2 straight up at home this season with a plus 12.9 net rating. That is a very, very impressive number. Some of it is fueled by a big blowout victory that they had, but they have been very, very good at home. And that net rating is on par with what you see from teams like Oklahoma City and Denver over the course of the entire season. I don't quite think that the Suns are going to continue looking like one of the very best teams in the NBA when playing in Phoenix, but I do think this is a very good team at home. And, the Wolves are just plus 3.4 net rating on the road and winless against teams that are above 500 overall on the season. Also think that Phoenix's defense, which is very, very disruptive, 6th in the league in turnovers produced per game this season, will be a factor in this game because Minnesota has basically moved to Anthony Edwards full-time at the point guard position. Mike Conley is aging, is not giving them the type of play that they are used to over the last couple of years, which is, explainable and understandable given where he is in his career. But what's not understandable and what they are not happy with is the way that they have just not been able to get Rob Dillingham, a player that they invested it heavily into, kind of comfortable and up to speed and ready for big minutes. I mean, that is a player that I think that they expected to be the longtime starter next to Edwards, playing the point guard position. It has not worked out. Edwards is now forced to play out of position on the ball full time, and not the greatest decision maker in the world. Like, he has gotten way better as a passer throughout his career. He's not turning the ball over as much, but against kind of a ball hawking defense that does have some, feisty point of attack defenders, I think that the way that Minnesota is operating right now can be a little problematic. And I will also say that the Timberwolves have struggled a little bit to keep opponents off the offensive glass, and the Suns have been a good offensive rebounding team this season. So I think the Phoenix is worth looking this game. I actually grabbed them, but I did it at plus 5.5. I went through the key number of 5, got it at a pretty reasonable price at minus 138 in terms of what the value is of buying points. Like, I know that that's not really always the smartest thing to do. I mean, traditional handicappers will say that, buying points can be very stupid. I don't really care. My objective is to try to win money, and I'll do what I'm going to do. And I think that, minus 138 for plus 5.5 is worthy of the extra price that I paid. But yeah, I think that plus 3.5, plus 4 is fine if that's the way you want to go with it. But I do think Suns are the right side here. And maybe this is a team that you want to throw into alternate spread parlays. If you want to, avoid the Warriors tonight and go, Suns plus 10.5 with that Pelicans plus 10.5, or if you want to go Suns plus 10.5 with Warriors money line, whatever you want to do. Like, these are a few parlay options that I think are pretty good to keep in your back pocket. Next game, definitely the game of the night. This is going to be an awesome one for basketball fans and really just for everyone. I hope that a lot of people tune into this game. Nuggets at Rockets, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Prime video game for tonight, the second of this doubleheader. Nuggets getting 2.5 points on the road, total 235.5. This is a game that I'm very interested in backing Houston, but I am going to take Alperen Şengün over 23.5 points as the first thing that I'm taking here. Available at minus 104. I just think that Şengün is on a little bit of a heater right now. He scored 25 plus points in 3 straight games, plus 5 of his last 8 games. And I do think that this is a matchup that we have seen Şengün enjoy in the past. Şengün went against the Joker at Eurobasket this year and had a monster performance in a win for Turkey, going for 28 points and 13 rebounds. Actually outplayed Joker in that game, and I think that we are going to see Houston try to attack that matchup because putting Joker in actions will, at the very least, tire him out a little bit. And I do think that Şengün goes for 24 plus in this game. But yeah, like I said, like Houston as well, that's not going to be a play for me just because it is such a big game. I do think it's a little bit closer to a coin flip than I'm comfortable, kind of going with. But the Rockets are 19-2 straight up at home under Ime Udoka when playing only 2 games in 5 nights. This is a good rest situation for the Rockets and a good preparation situation for a coach that I believe is as elite as they come. I think Udoka, with extra time to prepare, is awesome. So I think that Houston has a really good shot in that situation. I just mentioned the 19-2 when playing 2 games in 5 nights at home. They've won those games by an average of 10.1 points per game. So not even really close. So that is why I would kind of look to the Rockets side. And I also think if you look at some of the Edelman trends, like it hasn't been the largest sample size, but 0-3 straight up as the Nuggets head coach in road games where his team is getting 6 or fewer points. So not the greatest team when, a short road underdog under Edelman right now. And I will be looking once again. I said this last episode or 2 episodes ago, but I will try to get Reed Shepherd over 11.5 points as many times as I can this season. His player prop point total was not available when I started recording this, which was at Friday, November 21st at 10 a.m. Eastern, maybe a little bit earlier than that, but it was not available when I started doing this. But Shepherd has gone over in 6 straight games now, has been on a complete heater as a scorer. That's been probably my most consistent player prop all season and one that I do think is going to continue to cash this year, especially in this matchup where the Nuggets are going to be without Christian Braun. That's their best perimeter defender. And I do think, sorry, I said 6 straight games for Shepherd. It's been 7 straight with 12 plus. And, a few of those games he's gone 15 plus. So this is a player that's on a heater as well, like Şengün. But yeah, point prop total not available. So I'm not going to be able to tell you that I could definitively take it right now. But like I said before, head over to VSiN.com if you are interested in seeing if I'm adding that play. Last game I want to talk about, Trailblazers at Warriors, 10 p.m. Eastern tip. This is a game where the Warriors are laying 7.5 points. Totals 238.5. I mentioned before that I like Golden State money line in some parlays. The reason I'm not willing to take the spread right now is because this is a very big injury report game, and you're going to want to keep your eyes on those injury reports. Head over to the NBA website. They have those injury reports updating, every 30 minutes to an hour, and they do a good job of getting on top of those. And also, keep your eyes on Twitter. Like, you get the best injury information there. And we do have an injury report page at VSiN.com where you could also keep your eyes on. So never a bad reason to head over to VSiN.com. I'll say that every time you hear me talk, but this is a game where I do think the Warriors have incentive to win pretty big. Both of these teams are 1-1 in West Group C. Both of these teams with very bad point differentials. Blazers minus 22, Warriors minus 24. Both teams are going to need big wins at some point in order to even get back in the mix in group play. But Golden State's got a chance to do it tonight. If Drew Holiday misses this game for Portland, and he is questionable, that's a major hit to the Blazers on both ends of the floor. Holiday is their floor general on offense. He is their best point of attack defender on defense. A player that they cannot afford to be missing against a veteran Warriors team that is very, very good on both ends of the floor. Don't let the record fool you. This team is elite when all the players are out there, and the injury report is clean for Golden State. So that's why I think that Golden State handles its business money line, and that's why I've already thrown that into some plays. But in terms of the spread, keep an eye on the status of Drew Holiday, because if he is out, I think the Warriors win this game by 10 plus and possibly even 15 plus. I mean, I've said it before on this podcast. I'm not sure how much the Warriors care about the NBA Cup, especially compared to some younger teams, but I don't think that they don't care about it. Like, I think that if they have an opportunity to go out and run up the score and, compete for this thing, they're going to do it. And I do think that there's a chance this game is, teetering on 10 points in the fourth quarter, and Golden State really puts its foot on the gas, trying to extend that lead to get that point differential close to even heading into the next NBA Cup game. If you're breaking down usage rates, defensive matchups, and pace, put that analysis to work with better picks. Pick more or less on player points, assists, and rebounds, and track the number in real time. Use code VSiNPOD for $10 free, no deposit required. And with 1,000x multipliers, 2 sharp reads can turn into real payouts. Basketball just got better. Download better and use code VSiNPOD. That's BETR. And the promo code is VSiNPOD, VSINPOD. Like I said, that link is in the description. Now is a good time to recap some best bets. I have a few of them tonight. I'm going to have more. These Friday night NBA Cup plays nights for me are always a little bit crazy. They always kind of teeter on being degen mode a little bit. So if you love NBA picks, I hope you are enjoying this podcast. And we have had a very strong week, mostly because Wednesday was one of the better days that I've had, like, in my NBA betting career. But yeah, let's get into the picks. I have 5 of them for Friday so far. I will probably have more at VSiN.com, but these are the ones that are locked in. Pacers plus 14.5 at minus 110 against the Cavaliers. Celtics minus 14.5 at minus 120 versus the Nets. Bulls minus 2, minus 110 versus the Heat, and that is one that I think I'll be going bigger on. Alperen Şengün over 23.5 points at minus 104 versus the Nuggets. And then Suns plus 5.5 at minus 138. I bought points in that game. That is not the standard spread going against the Timberwolves. I wanted to get through the key number, but it's those 5 plays for me. I will have more. We will be back with another episode of Hardwood Handicappers on Monday. I can't wait to see how these go tonight, and I can't wait for a good weekend of hoops. If you are enjoying the pod, I hope you come back on Monday. And everybody that listens today, good luck with your bets.